Good evening and welcome to On the Fives. This is a very special edition as we are in a series called Once Upon a Fairy Tale. And tonight we're going to be talking about Snow White. And tonight I have a special guest by Kim. She'll be joining us very shortly. And also you might be seeing a few guests named Glinda the Good, the Witches, or Elphaba. But thank you to everybody for joining us here tonight. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Quickly before we begin tonight, and I bring in our special guest, although one has already decided to sit in my lap, Miss Glinda the Good, the cat. I want to make sure I share a few couple quick things. One, I am part of the Red 5 network. I love the Red 5. The Red 5 we have the book club, which is in conjunction with On the Fives. We also have the Red 5 Tavern that runs Dungeons and Dragons and so much more. You can find out everything about the book club, the Red 5 Tavern, as well as many other amazing podcasts at BioLink/Red5, because we are Red 5. So I hope that you'll check it out. Red 5 Reading Book Club is what I spearhead in the Red 5 network, and I absolutely love it. We read Star Wars. We're currently reading C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy. Next month, though, we're going to be jumping into Brothers by Alex Van Halen. And then in May, we'll also be reading, Star Wars month. So we're going to be totally reading some Star Wars. And coming up, we're going to be reading some Tolkien, as well as many other wonderful things. So if you are interested in joining me, myself, and many other really awesome members of the Red 5, feel free to just send me a DM on Red 5 Reading on X. I'm also on X underneath Peace, Love, Phantoms, as well as Instagram. I would love for you guys to be a part of that. And thank you again today for everyone for joining us. We're going to have a really, really, really good time. And as we begin, as the fairy tale goes, once upon a time, there lived a lovely little princess named Snow White. Her vain and wicked stepmother, the queen, feared that someday the Snow White's beauty would surpass her own. So she dressed the little princess in rags and forced her to work as the scullery maid. Now that is how the animated movie goes. But tonight we're going to be talking about the Brothers Grimm starting in 1812, as well as the 1937 Snow White, as we celebrate Walt Disney's animation classic. Now to join me, very special guest who I'm glad she's back because she was with me crazy on last week and she's been here many times. Kim of Used and Abused. Welcome.
Hi.
I know I had to. I love this book so much.
Yes.
I can help myself, people. Okay, let me show you. I'm going to pull myself up here, Kim, real quick. Okay, this is the beautiful detail. This is the Snow White story. Look at that. That's amazing. I know you guys don't want to see my face that close up. Look how amazing that is. The detail is beautiful in this book. Welcome back. So yes. Oh my gosh. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good. You having a good week, I hope?
I am. So far, so good.
That's good to hear. That is very, very good to hear. I know it's been a very interesting week. You know, just with book club and the weather, the crazy weather.
Yeah.
It was the first day of spring. Winter did not want to let go of the keys. He was like, no. At least in the Midwest. We had snow when we woke up yesterday. I think maybe it was a parting gift.
It could have been from Winter Miser of the Miser Brothers.
Yes, and I said yesterday, I said, you know what? He's one of 4 suspects.
Yeah.
4. Okay. Winter Miser, Elsa, Jack Frost. Oh, I'd like to make a special note though on Jack Frost, because in Frosty in the Winter Wonderland that has the cartoonish Jack Frost, it is the children that beg Frosty to stay and Jack Frost to make it cold. the children.
It is.
I'm not blaming children here, but it was, in the long run, Jack Frost who made it colder. And then we cannot forget the White Witch, the Queen, the Snow Queen from Narnia.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all don't know. If you've never read Narnia books, if you haven't even seen the movie, let me tell you.
You're missing out.
I believe she's kind of at fault here.
Yes.
So I'm expecting it's one of those four.
Yes.
And we're going to leave the children out of it.
Yes.
So, but anyways, I want to say hello to Isaac, who is hoping for gummy worms because I said the early bird gets the worm. Hello to the man behind the curtain, the one and the only wonderful Ro of Scarif Podcast. Make sure you check out his show tomorrow night. Check him out. Actually, I need to call his voicemail. I've been meaning to do that. I have thoughts on Vader. And hello, Backyard TARDIS. Make sure you check out Nicholas, the Backyard TARDIS. He has a wonderful podcast in locksmithing, and he talks about movies and so much more. So make sure you check out his channel. He's also on X. Again, remember, you can check out everybody at the Red 5 at biolink/Red5. And hello to everyone else who is also lurking. I don't mind those who are lurking. I get it. Sometimes we just put that, podcast on and we're listening while we're cleaning or cooking or whatever. So welcome to those that are just right in the midst. So yeah. Where was I going? I don't know where I was going, Kim. Some days I don't know anymore.
I
who's there, who's out, who knows?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree.
I mean, I know it's the second day of spring. I love spring. It's like one of my, it is spring and autumn. And some days I like one more than the other. And other days I don't like them. But by the time summer is here, autumn is my favorite. By the time winter is done, spring is my favorite.
Exactly.
Yes. And thank you for a quick reminder. Yes, please hit the thumbs up, please. Thanks. We appreciate you for doing that. Hit the subscribe button too while you're at it. It's really helpful. Anyways, we're going to do a fun this or that, but I'm going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to do a this or that, but then I got a fun, interesting couple questions for you.
Okay.
I think you're going to find very funny.
Okay.
And we'll see how long it takes. It could take 10 seconds. It could take longer. I don't think it'll take more than like 30 seconds, but we'll see. So we're going to keep a little bit of what I normally do here on the fives, which is, of course, the fun this or that, because I like to continue to know my fellow content creators and friends. So without further ado, I'm going to go and start off with my favorite question, the one that I call now the Ro or Brad question.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, who would you cheer for more, Snow White or the evil queen?
Snow White.
Snow White. I knew it. I knew it. Is there anybody of you that likes the evil queen?
Maybe that much of me?
Team Ro, right there.
Yeah.
Team Brad, Team Ro. Team Brad, Team Ro. One's the light side and one's the dark side of the force. I love it. There are days where I can kind of understand the evil queen, but really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that I don't want a backstory for the evil queen.
No.
I'm even trying to remember if in the show Once Upon a Time, if they did that. Backyard TARDIS, Snow White. So he is Team Brad. He's right with you. Team Lightness, man. And for those who are asking, who's Ro? Who's Brad? Well, this gentleman right here is Ro of a Scarif Podcast. On the first show I ever did, I asked the question, and that was basically a villains versus hero question. And I eventually renamed it the Ro question, and then I changed it into the Brad and Ro because Brad is the other co-host of Scare Podcast. So if you're listening, you're like, who? What? That's why. It's just an inside fun. Anyways, would you rather live in the castle or live in the woods in the cozy cottage?
That would be woods all the way.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. I am all about it. Like, yeah. I don't care how nice that castle is. I think even if I lived in the like at the end, like, oh, you could live in the castle. I think I'd be like, can I live there?
Yeah.
Can you just make a library and we'll be fine? Can we add a library and we'll be fine?
Exactly.
You see what I did there? See, Isaac gets it. Woods. Add me a library and I am set. Except a wolf among us. That Snow White is. Okay. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to take that one. Ouch. Oh, I get it. It's a movie. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, we're talking about a 7 and 14-year-old today. What are you talking about? Is there a condo choice? For you, Ro, yes, there is. On Scarab with palm trees and a disco ball for fun. Wow. Yeah, I'm still in shock. I don't know if I'll put that up on the thing again. All right, so now on to something a little bit different and a little bit fun. Okay. This is a fun round of which dwarf are you? Just for fun. Do you whistle while you work?
No.
Okay. Well, you should start. Which side of the bed did you wake up on? The wrong side or you're still in bed? Or the right side?
Oh, the right side.
Okay. What size are your ears? Normal, large?
I say normal.
I think yours are normal. Okay. How's your vision? It's definitely not 20/20 or pretty good.
Definitely not 20/20. That's why I wear these.
Folks, we have it here. She is officially Doc. Say hello, friend Doc. Dr. Kim. It's not my fault, Kim.
I know.
It's how they did it. Blame Disney.
Hey, that's fun. That's fine. I like Doc is one of them.
All right, there we go. A cottage with a moat. Oh, so he's taking a part of the castle, putting it around the cottage in the woods. My question to Isaac, and this is a very important question, sir. Is there a library? Is there a place for books? These are important questions. And is there a bridge over that moat so you can get out? These are important questions, sir. Very important questions.
Yes, because there needs to be a bridge and a library.
Like, these are questions that some of us have. Like, we're just like, hello, like, if you don't have one without the other, like, I cannot wait because Kim is actually, I'm going to give you guys some of you guys might already know, Kim is actually going to be returning.
I am.
And I know, I'm excited because she's also, not only is she helping me do tonight's Once Upon a Fairy Tale with Snow White, which is actually a bonus, but she's also slated to be doing Beauty and the Beast. And I'm so excited because we're going to have fun with that one.
Yes,
that one we are. It's going to be fun just like tonight, but it's going to be different type of fun.
Yes.
It's going to be different. It's going to be a good time. And it's just because the library came up in my head and all of a sudden I saw something in my eyes and see in my imagination. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, wrong podcast. This is not Beauty and the Beast.
I know.
Talking about Snow White. But without Snow White, we would not have Beauty and the Beast.
That's true. And we wouldn't have any of the other princesses that followed. Snow White was the one that started it off. She was Disney's original.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Isaac says, welcome back.
Oh, well, thank you.
So welcome back, Kim.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. It's because you were back. Yeah, she was here on the 15th. She's one of the regulars.
Yes, I am.
And I'm okay with that.
I am too.
Look at that. We have a good time. So, but without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start jumping into Brothers Grimm's version of Snow White. I am excited because Brothers Grimm, unlike Sleeping Beauty, okay, there's been many adaptations along the way, even within Brothers Grimm, which we will talk about. But really, like when it comes down to it, when Walt Disney gave the copyright, when he said who he said, he went back to Brothers Grimm. This is who, gets credit, right? This is the original. This is where we got it from. Is
Yes.
Snow White. It's based off his. This time around, we're only going to be talking about Brothers Grimm, Snow White, and then we're going to also transition into talking about the 1937 animation first feature of Disney's Snow White. So I'm excited.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited. And it's really neat because we're going to both come in with our own thoughts and things like that. So let me start off first, Kim. And for you in the audience, how were you introduced to Snow White? Was it by the fairy tale? Was it by movie?
It was actually by movie.
And do you remember the first time like you saw the movie? Do you have like a favorite like memory?
That was around, it's probably right around 2nd, 3rd grade when we had Disney, and I watched it on Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I knew of Snow White. I didn't realize there was actually a fairy tale till later.
About what age do you remember like learning about the fairy tale?
Probably as I hit into my teen years, high school, is when I remember for one of the English classes that I took, we touched on some of the fairy tales, and that's when I figured out, oh, it's Grimm. It was originally a Grimm's brother fairy tale. And then it just got me interested after that. I want to see this fairy tale.
Were you like excited by the fairy tale, or were you like, oh, dude, what?
I was actually excited because I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the way the Grimm's brother wrote it.
Mm-hmm. Even with the gruesome end.
Yes.
Nicholas Backyard TARDIS says, saw the movie before I could read, probably around 4 years old. I'm probably like Nicholas. I read it early in life. I mean, I probably watched it. But here's the thing. I didn't bring it out. I'm being very careful for those who joined us on Once Upon a Time when I did Sleeping Beauty. I brought out my World Treasury book. That was my mom's, and she had given it to me, passed it down. And it is, it's very fragile. It's very in a fragile state right now. Anywho, and so when I was growing up, even when I was really little, I read that book cover to cover. You can see that the book is clearly loved. Clearly. I wish I had it right now, but at the same time, I don't, because it's been put in a safe spot to not be touched. And, but I remember reading those at a very young age and just immersing myself into these stories. Now, I will say that by the time I think this particular adaptation came out, it was slightly changed. It had been updated to include stepmother. It had been updated to include maybe mirror versus the word glass. And they also left out and changed the ending.
Yes.
To make it not so scary.
Yeah.
For some, it could be frightening. But like if you didn't have that additional thing, honestly, it really wouldn't have been a scary story.
Yeah.
Hello, Megan. So good to see you. Story of my life. Plans changed. So here I am. Hello. Hello. We're so glad you're here. We always love having Megan here. We love having you all here. So excited. All right. So, here we go. I read a collection of Grimm tales around 8 years old. Yeah. Well, so this particular treasury that I'm talking about, it has Brothers Grimm, Hans Christian Andersen. There's a bunch. It's a variety. It's not just one particular author. It's a variety.
The authors that originally wrote the children's fairy tales for the time.
Basically everything but L. Frank Baum. The American ones were not in there.
Nope.
Interestingly enough. So this Brothers Grimm created the Snow White, and it was published December 20th, 1812. Wow.
Interesting.
And it's around. That says a lot. Speaks volumes. And what speaks volumes also to me is that the brothers alone redid that book several times, even before Walt Disney ever, by the time it got around to the time that Walt Disney was going to use it to create the animation of Snow White, they had already changed it.
Yeah. Yep. And that was interesting because at the beginning of my book I have open here as a reference, it basically...
Let's hear it. Let's hear it, Kim.
See this book right here.
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah. That's what it basically said, is that the fairy tales have been changed, but basically this is one of the many ways the Grimm's brothers had portrayed them, but also it's a way that it's not portrayed as a happily ever after in some ways.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And I thought because I read the preface, or before I started reading it, I read that and I thought that was very interesting because it's so true.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the changes that they had done early on, they changed out originally it wasn't a stepmother. It was the mom. Yeah. I mean, that is the hunter's knife to the chest right there.
Yeah.
Oh, and they decided to change it to stepmom.
Yep.
I think that is the horrific thing.
Yeah.
I think the original one, I think they probably read it and went, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Now, originally, of course, fairy tales were originally written for adults. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, they were.
People, okay? It was only later that it was changed into children's stories.
That's right.
And stuff. But I think it's so interesting because all of my books, and technically adaptations, have it as stepmom, which is kind of sad. So to all stepmoms out there, you're not evil.
No, you're not.
And I'll be saying that again when we get around to Cinderella.
Yes, exactly.
But in this case, it wasn't even Walt Disney that changed it. It was them that changed it. The original authors who went, we're going to make it stepmom. We're not going to make it so horrific. Oh, and the mom dies now.
Yes. I know. I was going, oh, man.
I actually want to talk to you about something, though.
Okay.
Okay. And and if you're in the chat, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, too. Because actually, Megan and I were talking about this with Sleeping Beauty. Was it Sleeping Beauty? I think so. I want to know about these dads, these fathers. Because in Snow White, the dad is still living.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dad is still living. Now, in every adaptation that I have, like my big book, that again, it's the Fairytale one. It says that the evil queen was banished, and the father had thought she had died, and he was so glad to have her home.
Yeah,
I got questions for you.
Exactly.
Like my dad would be like, no, he'd be out there hunting. He'd be looking.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah. So would have been my dad.
I've heard the term bonus mom floating around rather than the stepmom do just stories like this. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Yes. So I do. I just wonder because it's like, where was he in this story? And that's just both in the story, and then of course it continued on. Was it assumed we just all went, oh, he died? Just kind of like in Cinderella, oh, he died.
Yeah, I
But he
wonder.
wasn't, he was alive.
Yeah.
He was alive.
Yeah, he
And I
was.
got questions. I'm like, dear brothers Grimm, I know that you're in your graves, your Grimm graves, but I got questions. Where was the dad? Why didn't the father see? Why did he not? Like, did she like what are we missing from the story? Why did he? Why? Why?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I don't either.
Makes him kind of villainous too, in a way.
Yes, it does.
Even though he's excited to see his daughter at the end, it's like, you married her.
Yeah.
You married when they changed and readapted it to be the stepmom. You made the decision to marry her. You didn't notice the witchcraft, or you didn't notice, like, did he not see the glass or the mirror? Sorry. In my adaptation, it says glass. It does not say mirror.
Mine
like,
too. Yeah, mine too.
Interesting change between the movie and the books. I have glass. But I do wonder, did he not see? Did he did she have him under a spell? Like, I want to know these questions. I got questions.
Oh, I do too.
I'm sure I could take a class, and I'm sure they'd still wouldn't be able to answer to me because the people who can answer for me are no longer with us.
Exactly.
At least in Disney's movies, her dad lived through the whole story. Yes.
True.
I'm telling you, Megan, we're going there. I cannot wait. When she, yes, we're going to be talking about that. Very, 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 very true. So, also something that we see here is age.
Yes.
A very huge, stark contrast.
Yes.
7 years old.
Yeah, 7 years old in the original Grimm's, and then old about 14 to 16 in Disney's.
Right, Disney elevated her age.
Yeah.
So my question to you and to the audience, do you know, it does not give us a time lapse. Maybe this is more of a discussion. We actually don't know how long this right? Correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So it could have been years, kind of like Sleeping Beauty, right? Like, all of a sudden she's 16, full blown grown woman. Man, okay, this is going to sound wrong, though. Okay. I admit it. This is going to sound backwards. It's going to sound wrong. They didn't have to deal with puberty. They just got to go right past it. Right past the stop sign.
Yeah.
Went to go. Like,
yeah. Well, it kind of, even though we don't have a time lapse for the Grimm brothers, I did notice one thing as the evil witch was trying to kill her. We'll just be right blunt, kill her. She tried to kill her with a ribbon, which around that time was a corset. So she had to have been going into the teenage years because little girls didn't wear those. Not until they were in their teens. Yeah.
Correct. Oh, that's another interesting thing I want to talk about. When I was rereading this fairy tale, Miss Snow White is not a really good listener.
No, she's not.
We already knew that in the book, but in the movie, but in the book, it's point blank. Do not go there.
Yeah, do not
enter the door. Now, a special note, this is at a different time in stage in life. This is a different century, totally different decade. So leaving young children at home may have been acceptable then. It is not acceptable now.
Nope.
Okay, times have changed. Okay. And remember, it is a fictional story.
Exactly.
But she was told, don't do it. And she did. Not once, not twice, 3 times. And that is not after something else that I noticed. in this book, this is just so interesting to me. It made me really think about another story that would come in 1922. I would think. Okay, and I'm just gonna read this out a little bit here. And this is about when she first comes into the cottage, and the dwarves are looking around, and they say, the first said, "Who has been sitting on my stool?" The second, "Who has been eating off my plate?" The third, "Who has been picking my bread?" The fourth, "Who has been handling my fork?" Fork, you hear me? The fork. The sixth said, "Who has been in cutting the knife?" And the seventh, "Who has been drinking my wine?" I'm not endorsing wine drinking, but that happened here. But what other story, fairy tale, does that remind you of?
Actually, it reminds me of Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Bingo! That's right. I noticed that today. I'm just like, I think she was inspired.
I think
I think she saw an inspiration and went, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Who's
agree.
been sleeping in my bed? And then they find her.
Yeah.
This is just an interesting change, though, because that, of course, also still happens in the animated version. I'm backing up here for a minute to talk about the huntsman.
Yeah.
That was an interesting change.
It was.
Because she begs him, pleads for her life, and he feels for her.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah.
The huntsman has a bigger and better heart than the queen.
Yes, he does.
I have to say, unlike Maleficent, I'm kind of glad they left the evil queen evil.
Yes, I am too.
Many good themes here. Many good themes in this book. Not many. It's not many. It's a few. Okay, let's be honest. Not talking to strangers. How about like not going into people's homes when you're not supposed to? Not drinking wine either. We know that now these days. Back then, they probably didn't know that, folks.
Yeah.
They didn't know that wine wasn't good for underage or certain, for ages. And actually, for some people, it's just not good. And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that? I started going somewhere, and then I'm like, right down the mine. So yeah, but there are really good themes to Snow White. It's not just about like, I think what they were trying to tell probably children in the long run is, one, listen to your elders, right?
Yes.
Whether they're tall or small.
Exactly.
Tall or short, listen to your elders. Okay. If it's a good thing, I get it. If it's a negative, that's a whole different story. But in this case, do not open the door for strangers is a very important one.
Exactly.
Also, I think there's a little bit of a theme, and tell me I might be wrong here, but trust. Trust is the theme here. Trust in the sense that she not only opened that door, but she trusted her. And sometimes you have to question who and what you're talking to. You have to trust. I might be wrong, and maybe I'm even overthinking it. But trust
yeah,
is big. It's interesting because I know, in the long run, and we'll talk about the prince, you guys. Okay, we will get there. But we have the good versus evil, and the good, of course, is the biggest one. But like, Snow White didn't listen. She didn't listen. And of course, then she had to keep relearning that lesson. That's another good thing. There's a good lesson within a lesson, right? Yeah. Sometimes it takes more than once to learn the lesson.
It does. It does.
Isn't that true to life?
It is. It is very true to life.
You keep going in that circle until you finally get it.
Oh, yeah.
till the light bulb comes on.
Oh yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm not supposed to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to what you said about trust issues, yeah, how she trusted someone that was just coming right up to the door in the woods selling goods is okay. Okay.
And again, I would be questioning, okay, if my dad's still alive, where is my dad?
Exactly.
And that's another thing. Okay, in the book, again, the dad's still alive.
Yeah.
Why didn't he send out? I know, I'm back to that one. Why didn't he send out a hunting party? Why didn't he, if he noticed that his daughter was, I don't know.
Yeah, if he noticed his daughter was being,
treated differently.
Why did it not click?
Mm-hmm.
And why didn't it seem suspicious to him that the queen at the time, the evil queen at the time, asked a huntsman to follow her into the forest? Why did it not click? It's like, what did she have over you that it just didn't click? Which then it reminds me, and this was a movie that came out years ago that had the one that played what's her face in Twilight? Think, Kim, think.
Think, Kim, think. Think, Kim, think. You're talking about the girl who played in Twilight, Kirsten Stewart.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, she there was a movie that came out that was called Snow White and the Huntsman.
I remember
that in that movie, and I know this is way in left field, but we'll catch the ball and come back around.
You're good. Go for it.
In that particular movie, yes, the queen actually died, but when he met his other wife, which would be the evil queen, she had actually put a spell on him to where all he could see was her and her beauty and could not see anything else.
I don't like that.
Yeah. And so I don't remember if the dad finally died or not. It's like I said, it's been years since I've seen it. But that's what it kind of reminded me of because I read the fairy tale twice. That's what it kind of reminded me of. Was there something like that all he could see was her beauty and not anything with his own daughter?
Maybe she gave him a poison apple.
Yeah.
But for different.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we will never know. Dear Grimm brothers, you're in your grave. Can you please send clues?
Exactly.
Send via Raven, please.
Yeah.
Another central theme is vanity. Okay. Another deadly sin, vanity.
Yes.
And that is something that we had to deal with the evil queen, both in the book and in the movie side.
Yes.
Who is jealous of a child? A child.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like
child and then teenager and long run, future queen.
Exactly.
Like it is vanity and appearance, physical appearance is more. It's actually, hold up. I want to go further because you and I were talking a little bit about this earlier and we didn't get a chance to really talk about it because we're talking about vanity. And in the book and in the movie, they talk about being the fairest of them all. And a lot of people, Snow White, okay? We know how the, black ebony, hair and, the blood on the snow.
Yeah.
Snow White, for having rosy cheeks. And that's something that her mom wanted. Okay. But when I think about the fairest of them all, I had mentioned to you earlier, so you know what? It's kind of like Hogwarts, right?
Yeah.
Kim and I are both Hufflepuffs. And one of those traits that we have is about being fair. Being fair is it's a characteristic. It's something inside. It's in your heart. It's just in it's kind of part of who we are. And I think that might also be a part of Snow White. I think her characteristic is kindness and fairness. And her fairness is beyond skin deep. It is in who she is. It's about her character, and it shows in her personality and how she presents herself with grace and a certain feel. And right.
Yeah,
There is
exactly.
there is something about when somebody is kind and being fair to others, and the way they speak, the way they hold themselves.
Yeah,
It's going to be very different
it is.
than somebody with vanity and who's jealous with rage because, oh my gosh, I'm not beautiful.
Yeah.
Gosh. Like what happened to the evil queen that she had? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she had issues with age. I don't know. Did we already have ageism then and I didn't realize? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm always like, it's just a number.
Yeah,
like, okay,
right there.
this number, I'm okay with it. Yeah, I already know, like, I'm aging another level. That's okay. Okay. But I'm not going to be, like, jealous of it.
Exactly.
Child or any, again, maybe it's also that sin, though, too, of, you're comparing, and I don't know. Maybe, again, I'm digging into this one a little too much.
No, I actually agree with you.
Because she does have that jealousy bit, too, right? She's jealous of her.
Yeah.
Others is just so harmful because okay, so let's go back to what I was talking about, fairness, right? So the opposite of the fairness and stuff is the vanity and jealousy and stuff like that, right?
Right.
When jealousy eats at your heart and eats at your personality, it's going to reflect differently versus, right? If you are kind and loving and you're fair, it's going to show out differently in who you are.
Yes.
Right?
It is.
It does show differently.
It does.
Like
yeah.
A beautiful person can be very unattractive.
Yeah.
If they are being a certain type of manner, in this case, having jealousy, their vanities that is an issue, or they're just, it shows.
It does.
It really does show.
Yeah, it does show. It shows in the cruelty.
And there's another Hufflepuff in my house. I don't know why it's not doing it. There we go. By the way, happy belated Hufflepuff Day.
Thank you.
You, and happy Slytherin Day to all the Slytherins out there. I'm pretty sure Ro is one. Yes. I don't think he's a Ravenclaw, and I don't think he's a Gryffindor. Pretty sure Ro is Slytherin. Same as DJ. And Ubaldo.
Yes.
And Ubaldo. Got it.
Yep.
So, anywho, we're getting off track here, or going off the coal mine rail there. So to speak.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so let's go ahead and begin to we're going to start getting ready to switch over, because I know we want to talk about the 1937 animation as well as the music, but I don't want to miss out on anything. Is there anything else that you can think of from the book? Now, we can always switch back to it, or segue back into it as we talk about the animation. Is there anything else like you want to mention in regards to Snow White?
I thought it was very interesting, and this might segue into where we're going next, that as she came up on the cottage in the forest, not one of those dwarfs had names. They were all first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. There was no names attached to those dwarfs. And I thought that was very interesting.
I wonder why they didn't name them.
Yeah, I was too. And I also think the other interesting part is how they said, if you stay here and help us out with our domicile or, keep it clean, keep us fed, then you will not want for anything.
Mhm.
Which when we get into this, and like I said, it's been years since I watched it, but I don't know if that was ever brought up in the Disney one.
And I think what I'm going to bring this up because I think it's interesting that the way that they did want
Yeah.
her for nothing. But here's the thing, they were teaching her about responsibility,
Yeah, they
right?
were. And
As
I thought,
kids, right? We had chores.
oh,
Chores,
yeah.
oh my God, you're making my life awful because you're making me do chores. Lo and behold, it's because you're learning a skill. You're learning to be a part of a family. You're learning a responsibility because when you're an adult, you want to know how to make your bed, how to wash dishes, how to sweep.
How to
Um,
cook.
that's an important part of
Yeah,
life.
it
Um,
is.
and also, I cannot forget to mention this with Snow White. She had other names. Another one was Sneen and Snowdrop.
Oh.
So I don't want to forget those two because I know you mentioned names, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, there are other names there that were included in excuse me, in the in Snow White, the book, Brothers Grimm book. But yes,
Yeah. And also how it was interesting that when she walked into it in the book, how neatly organized these 7 little men are. And then how in the movie, their cottage
opposite,
is dirty.
opposite.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm excited. Let's go ahead. We're going to go and switch over. We're going to switch over to the year 1937, specifically December 21st of 1937. Actually, that is when it came out at Catholic Circle Theater, but it officially came out and premiered February 4th, 1938 in the United States. This is a very important, pivotal part of the United States history because during this time we were going through the Great Depression. And the reason I'm bringing up this is because when we get down to talking about some important details with Snow White, this is a big moment.
Yes.
This is big for both Walt Disney, the company of Walt Disney,
Yes.
the groundbreaking things that were happening.
Yep.
And even there are just so much stuff. There's things that we're going to be talking about with Snow White that are both for Snow White, the animation movie, and the actual movie itself.
Yes.
It's huge. And
Yes.
I just have to bring up, and you and I were talking right before. I said, this happened during this movie came out, debuted during the Great Depression.
Yeah. Oh,
That
yeah.
is huge.
And
Why
then
is that huge? It's
because
so many
the
reasons. Go ahead.
yeah, the one reason is because at the time we were like you said, during the Great Depression, and not a lot of people had a lot of things,
Mm-mm.
including money. Some of them just barely had enough food.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was interesting that it debuted during that time era of the United States
Mm-hmm.
and how much it actually grossed and
Mm-hmm.
how well at the time the budget itself was pretty big because not everybody had money at the time. But
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately how much it actually grossed by the end of that year.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting timing, to say the least,
Mm-hmm.
of when it came out.
And we were towards the end of the Great Depression. But really, this was happening all through the Great
Yeah.
Depression. Um, they started conceiving this idea in the early 1930s.
Yep.
Walt had seen a silent film and got inspired
Yep.
and did something bigger and groundbreaking that would change history. Anna made it history, just like the Brothers Grimm changed history with their fairy tales. Disney was about to make, he was pioneering something so great. But what made this so great, okay, folks, y'all, if you didn't know the Depression, as Kim was saying, was a very, very dark time for our history, for our nation. And Walt Disney employed easily over 1,000, maybe up to 12,000 people during this time.
Yeah.
He was a big employer
Yeah.
during the Great Impression because you have all your animators, you have your, those who are storyboards. That doesn't include probably those who are helping to make sure it's clean and taking care of the building. This is huge.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize just how big that is. Today, I think we take that one for granted. Like, I don't think we talk about, oh my God, things are so tough. Things are so tough.
They were tougher back then.
It was tougher. And somehow they did it with big families. I don't even know how that happened.
I don't either.
I don't know. I will not ever know. That is
very true.
Everyone thought an animated movie was insane, but he did it anyways. Absolutely truth.
Yeah. Well, if you
game breaker.
Yeah.
That up for a minute.
If you look, because I've studied, well, being a Disney fan that I am, I've actually studied a little bit of Walt's life, and Walt's life was a continuous movie. If he saw something, he wanted to bring it to life. Mm-hmm. That's how a lot of the dreams that we see now came to life back then, is it was through movies that he watched. He wanted everybody from young to old to enjoy the work. Mm-hmm. And he made it happen.
Mm-hmm. He did. He absolutely did. The budget for this was $1.5 million.
Yes.
That was a huge number.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the interesting thing about it is, can't see it, but we have a lot of records that are standing behind me. And when Scott was a child, his mom actually got the Disney version on RKO Records.
That's big.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, because it was like an Walt Disney and released by RKO Radio Pictures. And there's actually a record back somewhere. I tried to find it and couldn't find it to show it. Okay. But yeah, he actually grew up on that record.
And actually, we're going to circle back to that when we get to music, because I had another thought. But thank you to Roy Disney for telling his brother, nudging him and going, you need to bring in the banks to see this. So they will give you more. Walt thankfully listened. Yep, I have some Snow White records as well. Still have it. Awesome.
Yes.
Thankfully, he listened because that was so important.
Yeah.
Because again, this is groundbreaking across the board. It's the first animated feature. People were telling him he's, like Megan was saying, he's insane for doing this. Nobody's going to want to sit through this. And all it took was one investor to go, this is going to be a hit. This is going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And he had faith and believed in Walt Disney. And he was like, no, you got this. You got this.
And
And can you tell us what the box office was in the long run, Kim?
Yeah, sure. Give me just a moment. Sorry. My phone is connected, but I have reading glasses for close up.
All good.
So it actually ended up grossing $2,297,000,000 worldwide. It's inflation's adjusted earnings top animation list.
Do you know what it was for? That's inflation for today too?
Yeah.
That's for today. Okay. I say, because originally it was also 400. It made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Remember, friends, this was during the Depression. People needed that. There are a couple big things that happened during the Depression that kept people's morale up. And most of it was through entertainment.
Oh.
Thank you, Snow White. Thank you, Wizard of Oz. And thank you, Shirley Temple.
Yeah, exactly. This is interesting. I'm going to go ahead and
let's hear it. I can't wait.
Okay. The popularity of the film has led to its being re-released theatrical many times until its home video release in 1990 in the 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
Adjusted for inflation, it is one of the top 10 performers at the North American box office and is still the highest grossing animated film.
There you have, folks. Have a good night. That says a lot.
Yeah.
That says so much about where his heart was, where his mind was. He was an Imagineer and just amazing human being. I would love to have dinner with him, but we can't, Kim.
No.
Maybe
Sadly.
maybe we'll just go have dinner with Mickey Mouse. We'll find Mickey and Minnie and,
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, Mickey, Minnie, let's go have dinner.
I well, okay. I'll be honest. I love Snow White. Is she my favorite princess? I'm not going to say. No, teasing. I love Disney animations. I love Disney princesses and villains. Do not get me wrong. I do love them. There are some really good villains. I mean, I already said Evil Queen from 1937.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Very good. However, when it comes to the Disney princesses, I love the story of Snow White. It's not the character. It's just like, I love the story, but they're just other Disney stories that I'm like, oh, and it also comes out with the timing, right?
Yeah,
You said
it does.
1990 is when the VHS first came out.
Yeah.
Folks, reminder, this movie came out in 1937, technically 1938.
Yeah.
So for many years, they did not have VHS. They did not have they didn't have platforms for streaming apps and things. That means they had to go to the movie theater to see it.
Yeah.
That's huge. That is huge. And again, I love Snow White. I like her story. I really do. But she's still amazing. We'll just go with it.
Yes. Yes, she is.
And speaking of Snow White, I absolutely love how Walt Disney and the casting directors of that time decided on their cast.
That was interesting. Yes. And I'll let you go over that.
Okay. Adriana Castellanti, I hope I said that right, is our young Snow White. Because Snow White is, again, young and innocent. She's a princess. We also know that in this particular animation, she's somewhere between 14 to 16. Okay. And we honestly don't really know how long she was in the casket. Oh, we forgot to talk about that. We will get back to the ending of, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Okay. We'll do a compare and contrast when we get there. Okay. Of the ending from both book to movie. We will get there. And in this story, she just she has a beautiful operatic soprano voice. And it's very sweet and very kind. And even if you ever watch her on video, please, friends, look her up. Okay. If you've never seen her, she's been very happy and vocal about loving her character, Snow White, even years later, even when she was in her Golden Girl age, she was very happy about playing Snow White. She cherished her character and cherished the fairy tale and the animated movie. And she was very grateful to Walt. And the way she holds herself, the poise, the grace, when you watch her, it's like, you're looking, even when she was young, you just felt like you were looking at Snow White. She had a eloquence to her that just beamed Snow White. And that's why I really love her. Her voice was there, but they took a lot of features from her as well as some models. They did bring in other people too, but she was just a beautiful inspiration, and they really utilize that, and I love it.
Yes.
Lucille Laverne was the evil queen. You would later again see the evil queen in other features. Again, she's the wicked stepmother and the queen, and she just did it well.
She did.
Love to hate her, she did a great job. I want to make sure I mention something I had seen today. I absolutely love, and that's Harry Stockwell. He's, of course, the prince, the romantic young man who falls in love with Snow White. He's interesting because they met beforehand, and then in the long run he ended up getting it. But they had like the good charisma and characteristics and things, and I thought that was really well done too.
Yes.
Go
And something
ahead.
something interesting that, and this, I'll just say this, and then we'll continue it when we go to the end of the movie.
Okay.
Interesting thing about Disney is Snow White and the Prince met at a well before he met
Correct.
her later.
Correct. A huge difference between the movie and yes, different.
Yes.
The huntsman who has a heart, played by Stuart Buchanan. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful. Morani Olson played the magic mirror, voiced the magic mirror. There's the magic.
Oh, yeah.
Very demonic. I love it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
now let's have some fun. Let's talk about some characters that we have in the book, but actually got a voice, a huge storyline inside this movie of Snow White. That is the Seven Dwarfs. And if you're in the chat, can you please drop who your favorite Seven Dwarf is? I'd love to know. Playing Doc, who is, of course, the good-hearted. He's also very intelligent. He's clearly the leader of the dwarfs, and that Doc is played by Roy Atwell. Grumpy, because he's stubborn and just likes and. But in the long run, we know he's got a heart. Snow White brings that out of him. Was played by Pinto Caving. Otis Harlan played as Happy. By the way, I would like to make it known that I love how Happy, like how he got his voice to be so and so cheerful in a certain way. Love that. Playing as Bashful was Scotty I want to say Matthews, but that's not right. It looks like Mathros. And of course, he's shy. Billy Gilbert played as Sneezy, or voice. This is all voicing, my bad. Voice Sneezy, of course, who suffers from hay fever.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, these Seven Dwarfs went from like non-existent, you are just the Seven Dwarfs, you're nice and tidy, to personality. I love it. Oh my gosh. Dopey. Okay. Oh, Dopey. Eddie Collins voiced Dopey. He was the clumsiest, of course, out of the group. He did not communicate vocally, but he did it through sounds and the way he looked and things. We also have Harry Sock. So he rounds it out. But I would like to make it no. Okay, this is a difference between the book and something I had heard, and I think it's true. I'm pretty sure it's true. Okay, mines back then weren't very big.
No.
So either it was shorter people. I know. I'm not going in there, people. Okay, I know I'm short. But they also said could have been young children too.
Yeah.
Young boys were working in mines.
Yeah, they were. They were.
So again, Disney, Walt took, and the animators, the many animators, again, remember, Depression time, he had over 300 animators in just for Snow White.
Yes.
That's huge for the Depression era.
Yeah.
And so they took just the dwarfs, the Seven Dwarfs, and created these beautiful, iconic personalities that shined through, that worked well off of Snow White's kindness and good heart. She was good-hearted, and that really, it's huge. It's huge.
It is. It's very huge.
Oh, Megan wants us to guess hers. I'm going to go with Dopey. I'm going to guess
I'm,
Dopey.
I'm going to agree with you.
No. I take it back. I take it back. I take it back. I take it back.
Okay.
I'm changing my answer. If it's not too late.
Go ahead.
Sleepy.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
It's either Dopey or it's Sleepy.
Uh-huh.
I'm about like 95% sure that's Sleepy, but maybe 5% that it's Dopey too. I mean, I get it. Some days I love Dopey more than I love Grumpy, but there are days where I just want to give Grumpy a big hug and be like, it's okay. Because that's right? That's what us Hufflepuffs would do, right? We're being fair. We're like, we just want to hug you.
Yeah.
Make sure it's all good. You want a piece of pie? Like we're gonna be like Snow White. We're gonna coax it out of him. Yes, I got it. Sleepy. Ha! I see what Rove wrote. You little wascally wabbit. Nope. I can't help myself. I'm thinking Looney Tunes these days.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Forgive me. I was wanting to relook at something. So yeah, so we have the 7 dwarves that come in. They take her in after they find her. Yeah. Did you say you had a special note about that earlier?
Well, I was trying to look for it, but I can't find it now. So
okay,
we'll bypass it.
When it comes up. So we go from these warning her, the queen in disguise, warning her, queen in disguise, warning her, queen in disguise, and right. So we miss a lot of the in between. Yes. Right? We miss a lot of in between. And where there was in between, thankfully, story seers like Walt Disney, Ted Sears, Richard Crinan, Otto Lander. Yes, I'm naming them all. Dick Rector, because these people deserve, they deserve their credit. Whether it's in diamonds or jewels. Merle Dermatz, Dorothy Ann Blank, and Webb Smith. And that doesn't include who this was all directed by. Or about, again, they had over 300 animators in the building to help with Snow White. So Walt, I'm sure, was getting ideas from various people to create these wonderful 7 dwarfs and creating this beautiful story and giving them life. Like he just went, that's what he did. He just breathed life right into these 7 dwarfs.
Well, yeah.
They were elevated. Like, in modern slang, they had a glow up.
Yes.
A major glow up. Because again, their part went from this to that real quick. But they still took her in, right?
Yes.
Made sure that she, teaching her about responsibility, to helping take care of things. She was going to, it's a while you work, right? She was going to do her thing too. While they were off in the mine, she was going to still help clean. Although there's another thing. That one thing that we're probably all still wanting that, forgive me, Disney lied to us about. Animated animals that can help you clean.
I know. It's like, really?
Well, I got questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, where's my cleaning? Okay, my cats, though, to be honest, would be like, excuse me, we're your therapists half the time. Yeah. Why do you think we don't work?
Exactly.
Just joking. No, not really. My cats really would if they could talk. They'd probably be like, come on. We wake you up. We're your alarm clock. Come on.
Exactly.
We talk to you. Oh, poor Megan. My animals do the opposite and dirty everything, not help me clean it. My cats may not help me clean it. And I love dogs too, because we've owned dogs and things. but I don't have a squirrel coming in my house and helping me to clean, or chipmunks or raccoons or deer. They're not helping me do the laundry.
I know.
Oh, here we go.
That's what I was trying.
Okay.
Thank you, Nick.
All right. Nicholas, the backyard artist, says every one of the dwarf personalities or a possible side effect of over drinking.
Oh,
Okay. When you look in the animation, there's beer steins everywhere. Yes, because in the 1800s there were beer steins.
yeah.
There was wine.
Yeah. Thank you. That just that's what I was looking for. Thank you for the
Like part of
for the yeah.
My animals can only help me clean my spilled bacon. Well, and we do have service animals, service dogs, but I
Yes.
don't see a service squirrel, service raccoon, service deer. The wildlife does not help us clean.
No.
That being said, so again, they took this small part, increased it enormously. We also saw the part of even the stepmother, the evil queen, also emerge.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Between
her and what we, again, in the books is the glass. In the fairy tale it's the glass. In the movie it's the mirror. So even later on, books started updating to the word mirror versus glass.
Yep.
Again, the voice casting, wonderful. Lucille Laverne, I hope I said that right, and I apologize if I did not. She voiced the queen, the evil queen, okay, and she did a wonderful job, right, with her voice and the changing of it and showing jealousy inside her. I love that. I love that she was able to catch. It was amazing. But it did, while like she still had a good chunk of the story in the other one, I feel like they added on. And the reason I say they added on in the sense, again, back to what I said, the mirror, because then she had conversations with it.
Yes.
Right? And the mirror became real. It became more than just a glass on the wall. It took on a whole new life.
It did.
And that voice. Oh. I am sure some children, I apologize, might have been scared. I get it.
Yeah.
That voice was meant to be a little off-putting.
Yes.
Because you're not supposed to love it.
No.
You're not supposed to like it. Hello. That's part of like good versus evil. And that's also having the conversations with our families and with our children. You know, storytelling is also about, storytelling includes in the lore, but also teaching.
Yes.
Good versus bad.
Exactly.
Don't take food from a stranger.
Don't open a door to a stranger. Do not take food from a stranger, no matter how convincing they seem.
Although nowadays we have pizza deliveries.
That's true. We do.
We have problems, people. We've gone completely against the grain.
Yes, we have.
That's a whole different conversation for another day.
It is.
Megan goes, it's Mandela effect. You remember hearing mirror, mirror on the wall or magic mirror on the wall.
Yeah.
I thought it was mirror. Because see, in here it's glass.
Yes, it is. It's glass.
And that's all I've been reading this week is glass.
Yeah. Glass.
Mirror. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about the magic mirror. I'm thinking about the glass.
Exactly.
Another thing I want to make sure that we cover. Give me one moment. I meant it in the movie. Sorry. I knew what you meant, Megan. It's all good. Pulling something back up. Give me a second. Thank you. We know from the book that Snow White gets her name from her mother's wishes.
Yes.
In the movie, that does not happen.
No.
We know in the book that the queen was jealous of Snow White's beauty.
Yes.
And ordered the huntsman to take her to the woods and bring her back.
Yeah.
Bring back her liver and her lungs.
Yes.
However, and again, you guys can thank Walt Disney for these changes. I'm sure it was a lot kinder than the original. the queen was jealous and asked the huntsman to bring back her heart. That's
Yes.
right. It was not the heart in the book. It was the lungs and liver. Now,
Yes.
remember, these adaptations have changed. So even after the 1937/1938 movie of Snow White came out, later on, other adaptations changed the Brothers Grimm's from liver and lungs to the heart.
Yes.
Special note. We know that, going back to the huntsman, because I'm like, we're right there. We're talking about the huntsman. I love it. I do. He had a good heart. And actually, I saw earlier, Nicholas actually had said that he preferred the huntsman over the prince. I gotta find it. It's there somewhere. So Snow White begged the huntsman to spare her life, right?
Yes.
And she ran away, and she ran away, and the husband brought back the liver and lungs of a wild boar.
Yes. Yep.
You gonna tell him? You gonna tell him the gruesome thing that happens after that?
Yeah. Yeah. The queen made her cook salted and cook it and she ate both. Yeah.
Thankfully, it was boar.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then versus in the movie, thankfully, again, the huntsman, he couldn't bear to kill Snow White.
No.
So again, there's no begging on Snow White's life. Either way, the huntsman spares her.
Yes.
And told her to run away.
Yes.
He still kills a heart of the boar, but there's no cooking that day for that.
No, there
or
isn't.
Nothing brought up. That's so gross.
Yeah.
I mentioned this one earlier. She was found in the cabin in the woods and was so hungry. Well, I didn't. She had a bit of food from each plate and fell asleep. And after testing each of their beds, so I was talking about that because of the Goldilocks effect. I'm like, hey, Goldilocks didn't come out until the 1920s, and yet I see some Goldilocks showing up here in Brothers Grimm, even though Brothers Grimm came first. Versus, you mentioned this earlier, Snow White was found in the cabin in the woods, was very messy in the animated version.
Yes. And the other difference too is in the fairy tale in the book, she tried every bed and found the perfect one like Goldilocks, but in the animated movie, she had to sprawl across all 7 beds because that was the only way she could sleep.
Right. I know. I was kind of, how did that work? Because height-wise, height-wise, was she really that tall? In the book, the queen tried to kill Snow White with a laced corset, as Kim mentioned earlier, a poison comb, all before the poisonous apple.
Yes. So it was two other times, like you said, that she tried to kill Snow White, where in the Disney movie it was just once.
Mm-hmm.
That was with the poison apple. That's the other difference too. Each time the queen went to seek out Snow White, she never used a potion to change her like she did in the movie. She dressed up and just did makeup for her. And that was, in fact, that was all 3 times that she did that. The only poison she used in the Grimm's fairy tale was to poison the apple. Where in the movie, Disney's movie, she used a potion to make herself young, and then gave her the poison apple.
I grew up on the lore that an apple a day helps to keep the doctor away as much as you can.
Me too.
I'm eating the apple. I'm washing it. However, I'm not going to take it from
someone I don't know.
And then I have to think about the fact that we have Uber and all this. Never mind. We're not going to talk about it.
No, we're not.
One last one. I'm kind of kicking around some things. Snow White was awoken from her death, because now let's go and switch to there. Let's talk about the prince and stuff. I'm going to do this real quick. Snow White was woken from her death when the apple was dislodged from her throat when the coffin was bumped.
Opposed to when the prince kissed her in the movie, and she was woken. That was the other thing that I noticed, it was the difference.
Yes.
When the dwarfs put her in the glass coffin, they put her on a hill on the briars, where in the movie, I believe it's like back in the forest,
Mhm.
and in the book, the Grimm's Fairy Tale books, that's the first time that the prince seen her, where in the movie it was a second time that
Correct.
he had seen her.
Correct. Yes, that is absolutely correct. Also, another difference that I don't I'll have to pay attention maybe when we watch the animated. But like in the book, it talks in the fairy tale, it talks about how it says, it was the king's daughter.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they made that clear in the animation. I'll have to double check that one. And also, of course, that she was like you were just I'm gonna go a little bit further what you said, and add on that it was true love's kiss.
Yep.
That helped her to wake from the prince. Now we know, Kim and I know, this is very controversial in modern times.
It is.
Give us all a moment.
Yes.
I just read what Megan just wrote.
Yeah, I did too. Oh.
Either way, he's still kissing what he assumes is different. Okay, so in the fairy tale, they kept looking at her, right? They're looking at her and they're like, she didn't look dead.
No.
Right? So she kind of had like a Sleeping Beauty vibe to her, right? And remember, this is from the same author. Hello, Ubaldo. Oh, I have a question for Ubaldo. One, happy Slytherin Day to you. Two, do you cheer for Snow White or do you cheer on the evil queen? Please and thank you. I'd love your how you would vote there, sir. Sorry. It's all good. It's all good. We were talking about. So yes, so we know it's controversial, right?
Yes.
And again, the difference is you're right. Walt Disney did add on this additional moment. And maybe, do you think that's probably why he added it on so people wouldn't be so freaked out by this moment?
I think so, yes.
And again, aha, I have my answer.
Yeah, I thought
Long live the villains. Long live the villains. Megan says, I don't think she was breathing through it because it's a glass coffin. At least Sleeping Beauty could breathe. We do or do not know that. And here's the reason I say, in the book or in the fairy tale, it does mention that her skin stays its regular color. The blood's still
flowing. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like she just stopped. Busy. My dad says busy. Hi, Dad. Dad, I would like your thoughts and opinions, sir. If you're able to. Dad, I'm going to go back to something from the first part of this conversation. In Snow White, in both the book and in the animated movie, the dad is alive during this. And he didn't do anything. We think possibly the evil queen, like, did something to him. But, like, dads don't do that. Your daughter is taken, my dad coming. And here's the thing. My dad's turning into the huntsman. Just fun fact. If I go, you're going to deal with a huntsman. He might be my height, but he's coming. Let me tell you. No, I already know my dad's answer. That's funny. I'm asking my dad for his opinion, but I already know the answer because it was my dad. Y'all, I know y'all haven't met him yet, but let me tell you, he's coming. He's coming. He wouldn't let that happen. He would not let that happen. He would not let that happen at all. He would not.
And it could
right.
Right.
If you are a daddy's girl, you know.
Hello, Ubaldo.
I saw. Yes, Nicole has told me. Lord Happens to he's the huntsman if it comes down to it. Bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, but because again, but I guess I'm like, dude, how did he marry wrong? But then you made a very good point about he had to been cursed. There's just no way.
Yeah.
There's just no way, right? But it
Yeah.
also kind of makes sense, right? Because we're talking about the Brothers Grimm. If we look back around this time, right, we had already had Sleeping Beauty. So it is very possible that spells were involved and maybe just not written. It's very, very likely because it's like, dude, because if not, the dad's the villain.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No.
Not when I know my dad would turn into the huntsman. Something.
No.
So yes. So, all right. So let's talk about the prince. Let's talk about this moment. We've already kind of started.
Yes.
Again, we know it's controversial now.
It is.
Well, we have to remember, one, this is a fairy tale.
Yes.
Two, we do not recommend you do this in real life. That's just a big no. Okay, people? Yes.
Well,
Go ahead.
Maybe I can kind of help out here.
Yeah.
People, you've got to realize that back in that time era, and it even goes clean back.
I just saw something. Go ahead.
To the Egyptian culture, it was their culture that at times when your child becomes the age of 14, you are a grown adult and you begin to take on adult situations. And it was the culture, and it was a culture for many, many, many decades. It was a culture for not only the Egyptians, but also the culture for a lot of the 1800s and a lot of cultures believed that. And even today, there are some cultures that still believe that.
It's true. my dad, wood cottage next to the lake. he's getting there. I'm gonna piggyback because I remembered something from when I did the Sleeping Beauty episode, and I remember when I was doing research, there was something inside one of the stories where they also kissed. Get ready, people, for it. Deceased.
Yes.
Okay, we're not condoning it. Okay, we're not doing that. However, back in a different time, different era, different century, different everything, it happened.
Yeah.
In this case, they created it to wake her, as Megan actually just said. Okay, and Walt Disney changed it to be true love's kiss, right? To be true love, and that is what would wake her. Yep. Because that's what really needed to happen. And also it helped to dislodge the apple.
Yes, it did.
Actually, it's because the coffin moved enough that it dislodged what was stuck.
Yeah.
Because at the time, you guys, they didn't have CPR probably then. They probably didn't know about the Heimlich maneuver.
Probably not.
Think about it. I mean, that probably wasn't, I'm assuming it probably was not a thing then. So to have this, you guys can think of Disney a little bit. Yeah. Yep. True love's kiss, awake or asleep. Yep. Decades later, Disney would probably make fun of that term. Yeah, he probably would a little bit. And he might change his mind a little bit. But I think he already had expanded this even further. Like he took the Brothers Grimm story and added not just the doors and added the glass to the mirror. And then he expanded it to emphasize the story in regards to the prince and his love for, like, it's like how you said, right? By the well is when he originally saw her versus in the story. Yeah. One's a little more, one's a little less than the other. One means more versus the other.
Yes.
Megan says, or even if the apple got dislodged, she's too long. It's a fairy tale, and it was a poisonous apple. Ta-da!
Yeah. Yes.
All I got. That's all I got. Well, for the sake of fairy- See, fairy tales for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. But in the book, the story continues on.
Yes.
We know that in the movie
does.
they get married. Yay! Yay! All the bells and whistles. Now we know In the Woods probably talks about this, and there's other movies that talk about this. Kim, you want to open us up to the Grimm side of things here that's
Yes.
not included in Disney?
Yes.
You can thank Kim later. By watching the 1937 Disney animated.
Yes. Yes. So if as at the end of the Disney animated one, you see him and her go to his castle in the clouds, I call it. However, in the fairy tale by Grimm's brothers, he does ask her to marry him and become his wife. She accepts.
So sweet.
She invites her evil stepmom to her wedding. Her evil stepmom is shocked that she's alive, and versus a Disney one where she falls off a cliff, she is actually fitted with still hot shoes and has to dance until her death.
Ouch. Can you say ouch?
Yeah.
You can all say thank you, Walt Disney.
Yeah.
And to the animators and these people that helped him with direction of this story, and whoever helped him to get to this point that they changed this. We thank you.
Yes.
We thank you. That's scary.
It is.
I don't want to have
No.
I will say that again, the one in my World Treasury, they changed it to where the dad banished her.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty good.
Well, hello.
Hi.
Hello, Elfie. We got a little sneak peek of the eyes there.
I know, right? You don't normally get the eyes. You normally don't do that. Be good. Be good. She's trying to get into my. She's trying to play with my rubber band. Yes, as Isaac says, Kitty. Yeah. And then Megan says, poison tastes sweet at Disney.
Oh.
But that is a huge difference between the endings.
Yes.
I mean, no, thank you.
Exactly.
Could you imagine? Like, she's defying gravity. Could you just imagine if you would have? No, I believe it is Into the Woods. I think it is included in the movie or Broadway. Maybe. I feel like it's been a while since I watched that movie, but included most of the Brothers Grimm's.
Yep. Yeah, it did. Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was a horrible way to die. Horrible. I just went
awful.
Yeah. I was with you. I was going, thank you, Disney, for making it a little more humane.
Mm-hmm. He did. He really did.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't understand. Again, this was groundbreaking. This was pioneering at its finest. Again, I cannot emphasize, for those who are just joining us, at the beginning of this conversation, I brought up a very big, important fact. And that is Walt Disney did most of Snow White during the time of the Great Depression. And he employed a lot of people, animators, everybody, to work on Snow White. So that means people were employed, which was huge during the Depression. We also talked about the money earlier and stuff. And so he's doing all of this, also not knowing if it's going to be a success.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you, God. It was a success. It was a great success. But you know what else helped to aid in that success? And you helped and mentioned it earlier by mentioning a particular RKO vinyl record.
Yes.
Walt Disney knew at the time we did not, again, have streaming platforms. We did not have VHS. We did not have DVDs. We did not have streaming stuff. You could only see it on the theater. But he knew what was going to stick with a person was the music.
Yes.
And the music was going to be, you could get vinyl records at that time. You could get little records. And children would have those records. So soundtrack for Snow White was and the Seven Dwarfs was so important. The soundtrack was released in January of 1938, and the label, we had several, not just RK Victor, but also Victor Records, Decca, Disneyland, Walt Disney, yada yada yada. Like that's where we are. But this was huge. I was looking for our I was looking for the composer. Oh, there it is. It was composed by Frank Churchill, and all lyrics were written by Larry Morey. You guys, this is huge.
It is.
Again, this changed everything.
Yeah, and just now that we're talking about music, it says Snow White was nominated for the Best Musical Score at the Academy Awards in 1938, and the next year producer Walt Disney was awarded an honorary Oscar for the film. The award was unique, consisting of one normal size plus 7 miniature Oscar statuettes. They were presented to Disney by Shirley Temple.
And again, Shirley Temple was another iconic actress of her time, because again, we were talking about the Great Depression. People went to see the movies for Snow White, for Shirley Temple movies. They also went, was at the tip end. Well, tip end, same year, 1939. I could have a whole conversation with everybody here about 1939. So we're not going to enter into that because it's beyond Wizard of Oz. And that was again at the tip end of the Great Depression. But music was so, it makes you excited, right?
Yes.
In the chat, what was one of your favorite, if you're just joining us, what was your favorite Seven Dwarf? And what is your favorite song from 1937 Snow White? I would love to see it in the chat. All right, Kim, let's talk about some of our favorites. Do you have one that like really sticks out that you're like, oh my gosh, it's just my favorite?
I actually like the working song the dwarfs sing when they're going off to work.
That's because that's the theme to our lives half the time.
Yeah.
It's supposed to keep us happy.
Yeah.
It mostly does. I think it does actually a pretty good job. You know, whistle while you work. Oh, and then hi ho.
Yeah.
Hi ho. It's off to work. We go. Of course, you know those kids probably went to go see that on the screen and probably were singing it all day. It probably drove their parents berserk.
Well, I'm sure they did.
I bet you it did. Yeah. I, of course, love the first song that we see. Adriana Casteltoli, my apologies. She was voicing and singing. She did both.
Yeah.
Beautiful operatic soprano. It's beautiful. I'm wishing.
Oh, I love it.
I love to find me. I have to admit, okay, I sometimes sing hi ho in anger on my way to work in the morning. I get it, right? I mean, it pumps us up because it gives us a happy serotonin or whatever. It makes us happy. Yeah. I want to mention, though, the song I'm Wishing for the One I Love, right? You know, when I think back to when I was a young teenager, right? Preteen, teenager, right? I loved the boy bands, singing all the love songs. Snow White didn't have love songs. She didn't have boy bands. They had music. They did. They had music back then. But they didn't have like what we have now. So I can totally see her. I can totally see myself singing that, like as a teenager, like, because you're thinking about your dream crush, right? Right?
Yes.
Right, Kim's
Yes.
smiling. I'm like, "Kim, I see your smile. I'm calling it out. I know that yeah, because, right, we're
Yep.
those teenage girls, even the extroverted girl in me, like, would just be in my room like, right? And if I wasn't doing like the I'm wishing, I was probably singing like one of the like romantic songs from like a boy band or Paul Abdul, whoever at the time, right?
Yes.
Or whoever in the 90s and 80s, because I loved it all, still do, right? But I love that. And then Harry Stockwell sang one song. That's what it was called. Yeah, I'm not really sure why that was what it was, but yeah. Um, Someday My Prince Will Come. Again, Audrey. She just did a bunch of these songs, you guys. She did I'm My Wishing with a Smile and a Song. She sang Whistle While You Work. She also did Someday My Prince Will Come. She did amazing. And again, kudos to the casting. When they casted her well because she had the voice, she had the eloquence, she had the personality. She radiated kindness and sweetness. And when you watch her, even in again older years, that golden years, you can still feel that feeling, that happy grace, eloquence, and I love that. And fun fact, even the voices of the dwarves also sang the songs. They sang Hi Ho. They also sang what's called the silly song, the yodel song, yodel, yodel. Oh, that's one of my favorite scenes.
Uh-huh.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
They're dancing and having fun, and the organ going up and down and Grumpy on it playing.
Yep.
I bet you Grumpy was happy when he was playing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Secretly happy. He was in a good mood. Snow White was rubbing off on him, right?
Yes.
Rubbing off, like, yeah. She was. That's what happens when you treat somebody nicely. With kindness, that's what you get is what you're going to get back, usually in back. And I get it that sometimes some people are just going to be mean, just like the evil queen.
Yeah.
But show kindness.
Yeah.
Get them with honey.
Yeah.
Those words. Oh, yeah, the dancing scene. I love the dancing scene. Kim, do you have a favorite scene inside the movie?
I do. And it's when they come home from work and she says, everybody go wash up. So
Yes.
they look at that soap like, what's this? Yeah. Yeah.
My hands are clean.
Yeah. And so she says, nope, go wash up. So they all of them wash up. And I think Grumpy's the one that says, I'm not washing. I'm not letting someone tell me
Oh
what
my
to do.
gosh. And the little prank they pull on him. It is hilarious.
It is.
It is absolutely funny. It was hide in the closet. Huh? I'm gonna tell my dad. Huh? Okay. Maybe he was doing voice to thing. Maybe he's talking about mom. Megan says, I can be happy in the moment, but then often go back to being grumpy, sleepy. Yes. And I think the Seven Dwarfs really also, so we now have like we have the inside out, right? And they have the different emotions. I think also this is a big early precursor to the inside out motions, right? Happy, grumpy, sleepy. These are our moods. And that is, I think, also, I'm assuming, probably partial reason why they went the way they did, right? Because they're using our moods. Doc is very intelligent, happy, and sleepy, and bashful, because bashful, shy, introverted.
Yeah. If I remember reading somewhere or watching something on the Disney Channel, that's exactly what the dwarfs represented their names was the different emotions that a human goes through.
Exactly.
And that's what I was trying to find, and I cannot find it.
I'm looking up something because I'm very curious on something.
Okay.
Okay. So I decided to look at something because based off of what you just told me, the concept of hand washing uh, against general diseases and things like that. One, thank you, Hungarian physician Ignaz. I cannot pronounce your last name. Starts with an S. Semmelweis was in the mid 19th century. So I think on that. So really, it's gonna sound crazy. This is gonna sound crazy, people, but hang in there with me. You know, hospitals in the 1800s had the idea they didn't know much, right, about hygiene and stuff, right? They got better because we got better with time, right? The more we know, the more we learn.
Yeah.
And we know now in the last like 100, how much you want to bet they include Walt Disney was there like the Fred Rogers of that time. Like, here, let's push in some education. Wash the hands. I mean, he was helping parents out.
Yes, he was.
Their kids to wash their hands. How much I'm not saying that's why they did it, but I am saying there's a chance.
Yes.
There is a chance because it just occurred to me that I'm like, no. Somewhere in there, hand washing became a thing. And that changed somewhere between the 1800s and the early 1900s. Do not come after me. I know we're in the 2000s, people, and no, we're not old. Ubaldo says, hi ho, back to work. I go, aw, thank you for hanging out. Megan says, let me get back to this. Funnier version was said earlier in this chat, different emotions. No. Yeah, we're not. No. Germ theory didn't exist back then. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Which is why my suggestion is, that's not working. Hello. It's being a little
you're
fun there.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance. Aw. So we're going to go ahead and begin to wrap up this fun time that we've had together. Sorry, my thing is being a little slow. So we're going to go ahead and just begin to wrap it up. Be careful there, Miss Alphaba. She kind of moved my thing a little bit there. Kim, are you still there?
I'm still here. Oh, hi, Elfie.
It's slightly stopped. Also, I mean, look at the beautiful Snow White. She was beautiful.
Yeah.
I know it's a beautiful figurine I have. What am I? Hi, Alphaba. Hi, Alfie. Yes.
Oh, we got the eyes again.
I know. All right. So as we get to wrap down, any final thoughts, any last favorite moments that you loved? That you loved from the 1937 Snow White. I know. She's a stinker. We love her.
Yes. Actually, how she interacts with the dwarfs and how she tells them to go wash. So that was one of my favorites. The movie, the whole movie itself is my favorite. That particular scene just is funny.
Yeah. So no, that was a really cute scene. And the movie overall was absolutely, again, it was groundbreaking. Again, success all these years later, right? It banked.
Yeah, it did.
Banked. It made money off it. It's still one of the biggest animated movies to date. And again, it's thank you to Walt Disney and other animators and dreamers, those who storytell that helped to bring Snow White to life, from the brothers Grimm to those, again, working, again, very importantly, this is during the Depression. this was big, big, big. And that's part of the reasons why, again, I wanted to do this series. I wanted to, I wanted to talk about the book version versus the animated version. And but this is the one that started it all. This is the one, as Megan said earlier, they called him insane for doing. Nobody's going to watch your cartoon. That's an animated movie. That's an animated film.
Yeah.
And it won awards and it changed history. He was also helping our economy and changing history in so many ways.
Yeah.
And I thank him. I thank the maker. I really do. And I thank Brothers Grimm, because if it wasn't for them,
we wouldn't have
the fairy tale.
Yeah.
We didn't have the fairy tale. And I get it. There were other adaptations, but they came after.
They did.
You know that, again, Walt Disney does credit very specifically to the Brothers Grimm for this particular adaptation.
Yeah. And just before we wrap up, there's one other interesting fact here, or interesting thing that I came across. It says in 1989, the United States Library of Congress deemed the film culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant and selected it as one of the first 25 films for preservation in the National Film Registry. The American Film Institute ranked it among the top 100 greatest American films and also named it the greatest American animated film of all time in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows you right there that even generations later, it's still one that people watch and one that is thoroughly enjoyed to this day.
Mm-hmm. It is. It absolutely, it is. It's wonderful. And as we know that there has been other movies created off of it, we know that there's other adaptations. But again, today we're just celebrating Brothers Grimm and the 1937 and animated movie, because they are just so wonderful. And without either of them, we wouldn't have what we have today. Without them, no Sleeping Beauty, I mean, maybe eventually, but it would have been different.
It would have been.
It was different.
Yeah. Walt Disney literally took a chance and succeeded. And with him succeeding, like you said, we got Aurora of Sleeping Beauty. We got Tiana. We got Elsa. We got Merida. We got Belle. Right. We got all of the princesses off of this one success that he says, I'm going to take a chance. Succeed or fail, I'm going to take a chance and see what happens. And that's what Walt was all about, taking chances. I want to take a chance, and I'll either succeed or I'll fail. And he succeeded in so many ways with this movie.
I think he also went off of his gut feeling. Like he just knew that excitement, that energy. He just knew this was the right thing. Yeah. And I think that's part of being an innovator and pioneer and knowing that it was going to be good.
Yep.
And also expanding, because again, we know that originally the Brothers Grimm was different. He elected to add some things to make it better. And I would like to make a special note before as we begin to wrap up. As I have mentioned, I see a lot of Goldilocks in the book.
I do too.
And I can't help but feel like the author was inspired by. And I think that is the same with a lot of future movies, books. They were inspired by and encouraged by everything from either the Brothers Grimm or Walt Disney to do with their own artistry. So kudos. So I'm just so grateful to Brothers Grimm, and I'm just so grateful for Walt Disney and that huge team. This was not just a one-man show. We know it was Walt Disney. We know his brother Roy Disney was in there. We know that, again, there was over 300 animators. That's just animators. That does not include the secretaries. That does not include the cleaning. That does not include anybody else. This was huge. So I thank the maker of Walt Disney. He is a legend. He's a legacy. And today we are honoring him and also giving thanks and honoring Brothers Grimm for Snow White, because
Yes.
1 and 1. We got 2. We got 2. We got a story, and we got a movie, an
We did.
animated feature, and I thank them. So, all
Oh,
right,
yeah.
Kim, we have some fun stuff because we're going to go hang out because tonight we plan on watching some Snow White. We encourage you to also check out the 1937 Walt Disney animated feature. There's also really cool, if you have Disney Plus, they have a really good behind the scenes and trailers. I highly suggest, if you've never looked up the voice of Snow White, I highly recommend that you do. Why do I say that? Because when you watch her and when she's in her golden years, it is amazing to see how she's still the heart of Snow White. She's still iconic, and you can still see it in her presence, the way she presents herself and her character. And I love that. Kim, where can everybody find you on social media? And do you have anything special coming up anytime soon?
You can find me at Polar Bear 2013K, or you can. I'm also have access to the Used and Abused Twitter page, and hopefully plans are in the making for me to do a special series. And I'm not gonna tell you what it's gonna be about. It's just, yeah, gotta stay tuned. Gotta stay tuned. I will tell you this: it is one of the many things I'm passionate about.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm always excited. And this is very true. Without this movie, we don't have Disneyland. Without Disneyland, we wouldn't have Disney World. We wouldn't have Disney Tokyo, Paris, all of them. Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
And exactly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But anyways, I am so grateful for everyone for tuning in today. Please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. This has been fun. Again, this was the second in the series called Once Upon a Fairy Tale. Today we did Snow White. The first episode, Megan from an autistic point of view joined me, and we talked about Sleeping Beauty. That was another really fun adventure. And I'm excited because this fairy tale series is not ending. It's still coming. We've got Cinderella. We've got Belle.
Yes.
Beauty and the Beast. We have Tiana and many more, because this series kind of it's taken a life of its own. And of course, I'm still going to be inviting other fellow content creators to come on and hang out with me. And we're going to do some of the regular On the Fives, as well as some book reviews. That is coming. I do have some plans on that. So you'll just have to stay tuned. Again, I'm Nicole. I'm also 1/3 of Used and Abused with Kim. I run the Red 5 Reading Book Club, and you're more than welcome to join us. We read a variety of books from sci-fi to autobiographies. Like next month, we're reading Brothers by Alex Van Halen, and Tolkien and Narnia. And we love a variety of books.
Yes.
So if you're interested in that, you can find me, Red 5 Reading, on X, Peace Love Fandoms on X, and as well as Instagram. And just send me a message if you want to join the Red 5 Reading Book Club, or if you have an idea for a fairy tale that you were like, hey, Nicole, I like what you're doing. Here's an idea of another fairy tale I'd like you to see. Again, right now we're doing the fairy tale versus the animated feature, but maybe one time I might just do where it's just the fairy tales, because as Kim and I discovered, let's do one more quick fun fact, right? Because you and I talked about this right beforehand. Yes. There is another fairy tale by Brothers Grimm called Snow White and Rose Red.
Yes.
They are not the same character.
No, but it is a great fairy tale.
So I might one day I don't know if I'll break it down, or I don't know. Right now, the series developed out of us having a fun ladies' night. Originally, it was actually originally on Used and Abused, and we had a fun night of talking about Disney princesses, and this idea came out, and I was like, okay. And in time, it took about a year, but it happened that I started this within this series of On the Fives for my live stream, the series about Once Upon a Fairy Tale, because I wanted to know. I wanted to know not just the fun facts, but also get to know my fellow content creators and to get to know you guys, those in my chat. And just make sure you also please hit the like and subscribe button. Again, hit me up, hit up Kim if you have any questions and things. We would love to hear from you. I appreciate you guys for coming. Today's the 21st, so the 25th is right around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
So I hope you will keep that in mind, because on the 25th, I will be going live. So until next time, we will see you later on the Fives. I hope you guys all have a good night.